Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this double slider surprise card. When you open it, a hidden message appears. I'd made one quite a few years ago, which was just a single one. So when you open it, it slides over. But this is a doubler. And I'd found it years and years ago, and I think it was Dawn Griffiths was the lady who had made it. So a little shout out for the credit. But without further delay, let me get started and show you how we make it. It's not actually as complicated as you might think. So I did get carried away with myself and started punching out the pieces, and it's like, wait, you're supposed to be doing a video. So it starts with 2 pieces of cardstock. And the first one is 6 1/8 by 5 1/2, and it's scored at 4 1/4. So somewhere on here it is scored at 4 1/4. Just bring in the bone folder. And the other piece is 5 1/2 by 11. So it does actually need 2 pieces of cardstock. And this is the petal pink. And this one is scored at 3 1/2 and it's 7. So we'll get those. Those are the pieces that it needs. And the little window peeper outers were 2 cupcakes, which I got from, let me just bring it in, the With You in Mind, the new stamp set. And the greetings all came from really old sets, paper pumpkin sets. The One of a Kind came from August 2022, and Enjoy Your Day came from April 23. And this little guy came from a birthday kit. But that's the whole point of Paper Pumpkin, isn't it? You get to do the project of the month, but then you get to keep all the supplies. So I had punched the cupcakes, and now I'm actually going to punch out the 2 greetings. And this is a 1 3/8 hole punch. So I don't know if you have punches. I mean, mine are so old, they're the black ones. They're not even the grey sort of rectangle shaped ones. But this is 1 3/8. And then what we need to do is bring in the scallop punch. Now, some of you might not have these, but there are so many punches and so many dies these days, you can get a version. It doesn't really matter. They don't have to be 1 3/8, as long as it's a smaller sized circle and something to go around. The surround is just so that it's not a big open circle in the middle of nowhere. So whatever you have, you can use, but I'm using the 1 3/8 circle and the scallop punch. And like I say, you can tell they're really old because they are the black lever kind. So I'll just pop those all off to one side. And actually, I will show you how I got the 2 coloured cupcake because it's 1 stamp. So let me just bring in a little piece of cardstock. You can always go from lighter to darker. So what I'm going to do is I've got the petal pink and I've got pecan pie, which is the other colour that I used in the whole makeup of things. So I'm going to stamp it in the petal pink. Then I'm going to put it just on the edge of the darker. And you can see how you do it. However, word to the wise, when you've done that, you can't go straight back into the lighter ink to make a second one. You always have to remember to wash it off. Otherwise, you will get the darker ink into your lighter colour, and that really will make a splodge and a stain. But again, I've washed it off so we can stamp the whole thing and then just catch the edge, and you get a 2 coloured. And the lighter petal pink will have no effect on the darker pecan pie. So that is actually how I got my cupcakes. But then, of course, I had to put them into a space wide enough that I could punch them out and also punch the scallop circle around them. I just wanted to show you how I got a 2-tone without being a two-step stamp. Okay, so let's get started. What we need to do is this piece is actually going to be the front. This will be the front, and then the slider greetings go across with this. And what we need to do is punch two 1 3/8 inch circles, and I'm going to go as far up as the punch will allow and just across from the edge. Let me just pop something in so you can see how I'm doing that. It's going to go as far in as the punch will allow. Oh, that wasn't a very good sample, Alyson, because it's not big enough. Let me find something else that's a bit more accommodating. There we go. So, like I say, as far in as it will allow, and you come just over to where that edge is, and that's where you need to punch. I will take the piece of basic white out of the way. So we'll do it from, it's actually harder to see when it's a light colored cardstock. So we'll go from the bottom and then turn it round, and we'll do the same from the other side. So it's going to, as far in as the punch will go, and just up to the edge. If you're using dies, of course, you can place them wherever you want, as long as you remember when you're cutting the next one, you put the dies in and around the same place. So these two circles are spare for now. And then what we need to do is we need to bring in what is effectively going to be the back of the card. So it's like a Z, and the wider piece is going to be the very back of the card. So we need now to line this up with the front, and as you can see, it's a little bit longer, but as long as you line up the right hand side and the top and the bottom, we can then put the hole punch back in, and you can just line up the circle and punch it out. And again, we'll do the same thing. So we're just going to find where the circle was previously cut out of the top layer and cut it out. So we've got two more circles, and then we can put the front away just for a moment. So bearing in mind that the bigger piece is the very back, we now need to cut these same holes in the middle section. So there you can see the area is missing. I mean, if you happen to catch a hair's breadth, it doesn't really matter, because we're going to be putting the scalloped circles on, and that helps to hide a multitude of sins. So again, we're just going to put it where, oh, I can see that's a little bit over, and punch out the other circle. So now we've got the back and the two overlapping pieces at the front both have holes the same as the very front. So what we need to do now is we need to close down these, and we need to put adhesive on the back of the images. So the two cupcakes are going to go at the very back, because that's what you'll see when the card is closed. And what you need to do is make sure you have adhesive right up to the edges of the circle, because if you don't, there's a risk that the edge could lift up and it will stop the inside secret mechanism from going where you want it to land. So I'm doing this on my silicone mat, as you can see, of course, because then I can just get glue everywhere and it's not going to go all over my work surface. So put the card looking, you know, the right way up, and we can pop one cupcake into there. Just have to lift it up to make sure it goes down. And the other one, there's a little bit of adhesive hanging over. We'll put the other one in the bottom. And it's a tight fit, of course, because they were cut with the same size punch. And then, like I say, it's advisable to make sure that you have adhesive everywhere And then actually, if any runs over, you can just do it with an eraser or an adhesive eraser, which I happen to have. Handy little tool. You could also do it with glue. You just have to make sure your glue doesn't squidge out and get everywhere. So now we have the back of the card done. And then we just need to go to the inside area. Not here, of course, because no one's going to see that. On this area, we need to put the 2 circles. So when this is the greeting, and then when the secret greeting comes around, they've all got a nice edge, and it helps to hide a little bit of this roughness. You can just rub it with your finger, or you can rub it with a little nail file, but as long as you make it look somewhat neat. So now I'm just going to put some adhesive around this. I did think, oh, I could use my glue, but actually on the very first sample I made, I found the glue squidged out. So it's better to do it with a dry adhesive and just make sure that there is none sticking too far out. So we can line that little circle. Of course, if you're making this to send to someone, they're not going to see all these little scratchy pieces, but they do exist. It's not like a perfect process. But if I show it to you and then I show you where the pitfalls are, you'll know to watch out for them, and then you won't be so surprised by them. And now the front can have their 2 circles on, because this is going to be, no, it's not going to be the very front. I'm lying. Sorry, I'm misleading you. Now what we have to do is attach the front, the very front, to these front circles. And as you can see, this piece, the back is a lot shorter than the longer piece at the front. So I'm going to put adhesive all over this piece, because we know none will hang over anywhere. As you know, all the details and dimensions and directions will be on my blog, and I'm going to do an extremely detailed reminder of this one, because it is quite intense remembering to put what where. But I will just do you a list of do this, do this, do this, and then of course you've got the video to watch along with. But sometimes it's nice to have written instructions as well. So just got to make sure that that is attached as evenly as we can make it. And now, because this is the very front, we can go ahead and put the other 2 little white scallops on the front. You know, and if you don't have circle punches or dies, you can just cut squares out. It can be any shape they want, really, as long as the shapes are the same and you line up the pieces and put them in behind each other. That's the trick of it. It's not because it's a circle or anything. Okay, so now we have the front done, all the dry adhesive tucked out of the way, and this put on. And then we have that part of it. Now, the decoration for the front. This is a piece of designer series paper, which I think is probably from about 2012, but it was the right colours. It's called Parisian Summer, which is quite funny actually, because even though it's not the summer, I just came back from Paris. Ooh la la. So I'm going to use this. You can use whatever designer series paper you may have for the colour you want to do your piece in. But this was just a 1-inch piece, and I've had that cardstock. I think I'm going to fold it close so I can see where the edge is. I've had it since forever. Again, it's one of those hoarding illnesses. So it's actually nice that I get to use it. And even though I cut it at 5 1/2, it seems I exceeded myself. So I'm just going to trim that little bit of 1/8 of an inch too much off. And now we've got a nice edge. So I wanted to put this circle on, and unfortunately, if I put the pecan pie circle, you can't see it. So what I did was I got out my punch, which is 1 1/4 inches, which is just a slightly smaller size down from the 1 3/8. And I thought, well, I think I'll go ahead and cut it out using that. Now, the ladies who come to my classes, we always used to laugh that when we did something like this and we needed a little piece that you could get it into a punch, we called these little scraps executive extenders. So I am going to use an executive extender, punch that out just so this is how much comes off. Find the circle, get rid of the little bit of extender that was unnecessary. And now this is going to be just the right size with a little bit of a border around it. And I'm going to use the Happy Birthday to You, which came out of the birthday kit, the one that has the candles and comes in a yellow box. So I'm now going to stamp with pecan pie in the middle of this little circle, and it's now been executive extended to be just a 1/4 inch down, 1/8 of an inch actually, isn't it, from 1 3/8 to 1 1/4. So then we can layer that on, but I'm not going to put it on yet because I'm going to be using dimensionals, but I've just got it stamped and ready. And now we need to put the inside pieces in. So this, when the card is all together, this is the layer that the greeting is going to pop into. So we need to open it. So we've got the layer ready for where the secret message is going to be. And again, we're going to put adhesive all the way around them, so they tuck in nicely and there's no risk of any flaps getting in the way while it's moving. So we'll put Enjoy Your Day in there, and One of a Kind Friend, my 2 paper pumpkin greetings, and then we can lift this up so they are on the layer where they need to be, and give them a good rub with the bone folder. So now we have the card almost ready. When you open it, the hidden greeting will pop out, and to stop it just falling apart, the way we're going to keep it closed is literally just a little strip of tear and tape. It needs to be tear and tape because it needs to be strong, and it also needs to be a really skinny length, because there's not much difference between the front and the back. So just the strip of tear and tape, as wide as it is, right up against that fold line, and then we can peel the backing off, tuck the greeting section in, fold the back in and press it down, and that is going to hold it more together as a card rather than this back piece being able to swing wide. And now the greeting will flow, and the last little thing we need to do is to pop on the little happy birthday greeting. Happy birthday to you, my dear friend. So just get rid of those little edges. So that's the card. This is how it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, fits into a standard envelope, which is lovely. You open it and the secret messages pop out. That little strip of sticky tape stops it, tearing tape, stops it opening up. And that's it. That's the card. How cute is that? A little bit of work. You just have to be careful what it is. But as always, of course, the directions and dimensions will be on my blog. But I am going to do an extremely detailed step-by-step of what you need to do to accomplish that. If you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing. Give me a thumbs up. That keeps my algorithm busy. If you've got any questions or comments, feel free to pop them in the box below and I will get back to you, or you can email me if you've got a, hang on a minute, how does that little section work? I'll always try and help you achieve the end result. And in the meantime, thanks so much for watching.